Hey YouTube, it's Hoyt. I'm be sharing a dream I had about a month ago. So this dream starts and it was me and four new friends that I had. And in this dream we were driving around my town at nighttime in a white Sprinter van, and we were just talking about life. And someone said, "Hey, do you guys believe in God?" And my other friend sitting beside me said, "Yeah." And everyone was talking, and then it got to me and they said, "Hey Hoyt, do you believe in God?" And I said, "Of course I believe in God. I'm a super soldier for God, actually." And they said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, God shows me the truth about God in my dreams. And also God shows me future events of things to come in my dreams. And some of these dreams, I actually draw them out and I show them in my videos, and I explain the dream. And then I post these videos so people know what I saw. And then people watch them and they're like, "Oh, wow, this is going to happen." And then they asked me, they're like, "Okay, so that sounds pretty interesting. Now, if God shows you things, what kind of things does God show you?" And I said these things. I said, "Well, God has shown me in the future that there's going to be a zombie apocalypse, Second American Civil War, World War III, nuclear war, and an invasion of America. America's going to be invaded in World War III. Then I said there's going to be a Nephilim apocalypse. There's going to be Nephilim roaming the lands again, because they're not actually gone. They're just hiding away for a time." And then the last thing I said, the fifth thing I said, is that we live in a matrix. We live in a simulated reality. We're like a hologram. We're like in the most advanced video game you could possibly think of. And that's what I said. Down the stream, my friend driving the Sprinter van was like, "Hey, you ready to go home, Hoyt?" And I was like, "Yeah, could you drop me off?" And so he said, "Yeah." And we were driving home and he dropped me off. But when I got out of the van, Richard, my friend, was outside at the mailbox. And they said, "Hey, do you know him?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is my best friend that I was telling you guys about." And then they shook hands and introduced each other. And then Richard was like, "Oh yeah, I have a YouTube channel too. I also share my dreams on my YouTube channel, The Truth About God, and I actually write a lot of community posts." They're like, "Oh wow." And we both told them, we said to be baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit in water. And then when you go to sleep at night, God will show you things. And they were like, "Oh, we should try that." And we're like, "Yeah, put it to the test and see what God shows you." And I told them in my dream, I said, "Well, everything that I actually know, Richard taught me." You guys know him on his YouTube channel, EyesOpenInCalifornia, but I said, "Richard taught me all these things." And God reaffirmed them, because after I was baptized, I baptized myself in real life, in the shower, and I went to sleep, and God reaffirmed everything that Richard told me in my dreams as true. And God showed me the same future events happening as him. So I know that what he's saying is absolutely true, because I baptized myself and God showed me. And I told them this, and they're like, "Oh wow." And they actually already believed me they didn't even have to question it, because the things I was telling them, they're like, "Yeah, that makes sense." And in this dream, before my friends took off, one of my friends asked me, he said, "So if we live in a simulation, is Earth flat?" And I said, "Actually, it is. Earth is flat and space is fake. If you look above us, there's actually a dome above us, and there's water above the dome. And the surface of this world is like a pancake. If you look at it from an above view, it's round, but the surface is flat. And on the outer ring of this pancake is an ice wall. And then on the very outside of that is the end of the firmament, like a glass. Imagine a glass dome, or imagine like taking a fishbowl and putting it upside down over a pancake. That's like what the world is like. And you know, a lot of people say, "Well, if Earth is flat, wouldn't you fall off the edge?" You can't fall off the edge, because if you were to walk, I don't know how many miles of ice wall you'd have to walk to get to the very end of Earth, you would be walking up against a glass dome, a firmament. You'd be able to put your hand on it and touch it. So you can't, we're in an enclosed system. There is no leaving here. And so he was like, well, that's interesting. So is space real? And I said, space is fake. It doesn't even exist. And then I said these three things. I said, Earth is flat, space is fake, and NASA's a lie. I specifically said that. I said, NASA's a lie. And he was like, really? And I said, well, if NASA's a lie, what are they spending their $65 million a day on? And I said, they're spending it on nuclear doomsday bunkers and whatever else they need to buy and squander that money on to prepare for the end, because they know that God's real. They know these things are coming that's spoken of in the Bible, and they're going to prepare for that with all this money they're making. NASA is trying to perpetuate the lie that God's not real, that the earth is not flat, and that we were created in a big bang, that we live on a ball spiraling through space, but it's all a lie. It's not true. We live on a enclosed, stationary, flat earth world. That's where we live. And my friend was like, wow. And then after that, the dream ended and I woke up, and that was pretty much it. And yeah, so that was my dream, and I just want to share this with you guys. Now you know, we live in a simulation. The world is flat, and space is fake. NASA's a lie. So do with this information what you must, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. God bless you guys.